So we're getting ready to glue our fretboard on, and we've just got it clamped in place, and we've got everything lined up with all our centre lines and that on the front and back. And in order to make sure the fretboard doesn't move around when we're gluing it in and stuff like that, what we're going to do is we're going to drill two small holes, just a small one here and another one down around here somewhere, and through those holes we're just going to press in a little cocktail stick, and that will go through the fretboard and into the neck, and we can use them as pins to secure the fretboard when it's being glued down properly, so that it doesn't move at all when it's being glued. So we're just going to drill those holes now just to line everything up. So that's our holes drilled, and just to show you, we'll be doing something like that. So we've got a registration mark, so that when we go to put on our fretboard we know exactly where it has to go and it won't be able to shift in either direction. So we're just continuing to work on the neck now at the moment, and we're going to drill out our tuner holes now, just while we have everything nice and square and that. And so we're just going to take it over to the drill press and drill out some 10mm holes. And just to prevent the back blowing out, we've got an old off-cut neck here, so we'll just keep them together, and it means we can drill through without the drill bursting through on the back. So we'll just drill that out now. So there we have our 6 holes now, all nice and clean, and as we said, we didn't get any blowout at the back by using that other neck. So just checking our tuners here, and they fit in absolutely perfectly, so we're perfectly sized there. So the next thing we have to do is thickness down the headstock, so we'll just be taking a few mil off the front here. So I'll head over to the bandsaw and just take a slice off there. Okay, so we're getting ready to glue our fretboard on now. So we've got our truss rod in place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tape over the truss rod to make sure no glue gets into the cavity and causes us any issues. Then we've got our 2 small little cocktail stick pins here that we'll put in the holes we drilled earlier. Then we'll be able to position our fretboard on top using those holes, and then we'll just get the whole thing clamped up and we should be good to go. So we'll just go through this process very quickly now. So we've just taped up our truss rod there to make sure no glue gets in, and we've just put in our 2 little pieces of cocktail stick here for alignment, and we can just double check that. So that'll go on there nicely, so we can get our glue on now and get ready to clamp the whole thing up then. So that's our glue on, so it's time to get our fretboard in place now. So this is where our alignment pins come in, because with all that glue in place we don't have the fretboard moving around or squishing around as we start to clamp it up as well. It'll just keep it there. The clamps off, and we realised we never filmed putting the clamps on or taking them off, but basically we clamped everything down. We put another piece of wood on top, just to hold everything together, then put all our clamps on. So next what we're going to do is we're going to just take it over to the bandsaw and we'll start to trim off some of the excess here on the sides and at the back. So as you've just seen, we just gave the sides a quick buzz with the router there, and that just makes the whole thing completely smooth all the way along on both sides. So now we've two other jobs to do on the neck, and that's to work this transition here from the headstock to where the fretboard is. So we'll just put a nice curve on that there, and then we have to decide what we're going to do with inlays. Okay, so we're just coming over to the spindle sander here to work in that transition. And we've just glued a block to the side of the neck here just to keep things nice and flat. So we'll just be moving in the piece like that, and this all keeps it nice and square, and we'll just take away some material until we get a nice transition. So I'll be putting on my PPE, so I'll bring you back when we start doing it. So that's our headstock transition, all nicely rounded in. Still a bit more refinement to do, but we're not going to get it too clean because we have some fiery ideas for the headstock. So we still have our inlays to do, and then the overall shaping of the neck still to come. So we're just getting ready to mark out our inlays here, and lucky enough we have this Crimson Guitar fret scale ruler, and it actually has all the marking for where your inlay and side dots are. So we just have to make sure we're choosing the right scale length. We line this up with all our frets, and it's absolutely bang on. And so with that, we can then just mark our center points, so we know exactly that our side dots will be right in between two frets, just like we require. So then we can now use these markings we have on the side as a guide for where we're going to do all our side dots. And on the top, what we do then is we take our frets, we have our center line remarked, and we just use a ruler and we just mark a diagonal across from fret to fret, and just gives us a little point in the center, just to show you again, from one fret to the other, making sure we're bang on, and we just put a little mark, and that then gives us a small X then, and that's exactly where we're going to put our inlay, and we're going with black dots for this. So you can see we've got our inlays marked out now, and on the side as well we've got them marked here as well. So we're just going to drill all those out now, and then we'll install our inlays. So what we do now is we just take a drop of super glue, let that soak in, then we take our plastic 3mm material and we just push that down and in, and then a quick squirt of activator, and we just leave that to dry for a few seconds, and we'll move on to the next one. So now that we've given the glue on these side dots a while to dry, we'll just come back with a flush cutters here, and we'll just cut them in nice and close to the surface. So there we have our black side dots installed. A little bit of sanding still to do, but we still have the neck to shape as well, so that'll take care of most of that. So that's done, and next we'll move on to our fretboard markers. So we've got our drill press set up here, and we're just going to drill down now for our fretboard inlays, and we just have our depth stop set as well, so it's only going to kiss the surface, and we can just come back and keep going down the more we need. So we just got cracking on now. So just like we did with the side dots, we'll just be putting in a drop of glue, putting in one of our black dots, and then giving it a quick spray with some accelerator and leaving it all to set up. So we'll just crack on with that now. So just giving them a little bit of encouragement to go in, and we'll just keep going and get them all in. So we've got our 16-inch radius block here, and so we're just going back over the fretboard just to smooth it out, take down the tops of the dot inlays and that, and just smooth the whole thing out, and that should be her ready for fretting. Okay, so we've just finished re-radiusing the board there with our 16-inch radius block, and then we've just given it a rub down with some steel wool as well, and we've got a lovely smooth fretboard now. So the next job, we have to fret the instrument, and we have to actually shape the neck then. So we're moving on to fretting the instrument, and we're going to use some Stumac cryo wire, and we use our fret benders here. So fret wire starts off as just a long strip of fret wire here, and so what we do is we pass it through this fret bender here, and it just starts to curl it ever so slightly, and so we do that a few times, adjusting it until we get it to the curvature we want. So as we said, our neck is going to be a 16-inch radius, so we'll just pass this through a few times until we get a slightly tighter curve, and we'll keep comparing it against the edge of the neck then, and we'll be able to see when we've curved it enough. So we just take our fret wire now, and we hold it in place roughly where it's going to go, and then we can just snip off as much as we need, and then we just have our little number tray here so we know which fret is which, and we just keep working our way down the line until we have all our frets ready. Just leaving a small overhang either side so we have enough just to trim it all up nice and flush. So before we put our frets in, we're just taking a small triangular file and we're just filing a slight bevel just on top of the fret slot, and that will just allow the frets to seat in a lot easier when we bring them over to the press. And it just means as well, if the frets have to come out, it means there's very little chance of the edge chipping if we just take it away. So we'll just quickly do that. So we're going to start putting our frets in now, and what we're going to do first is we'll take the syringe of glue and we'll just squirt a small amount into the fret slot. We'll put our fret in, and then we'll use our fret caul here. This is an air drill press, and we'll just use that to press the fret into place. Just hold it for a few seconds and then move on to the next one, and we'll just do them all that way until we have all our frets in. We'll just get cracking now. We'll take our first fret, just put it roughly where we want. Then we'll take our fret press here, we'll just hold it in the appropriate place, and then we just use that to fully seat our fret. And this is why we're fretting first before shaping the neck, so we have a nice flat surface on the neck so we can do all this and we can shape afterwards. So that's our first fret in, and now we can move on to our next one. So that's all our frets in now, and we've cleaned off any glue, that residue and stuff like that might have been on it. So our next task is going to be, we're going to snip down all the ends here. So we're just taking a file here that we have encased in this piece of wood, and it's nice and flat, so we're just using that to take off the sharp fret ends, and we're just doing that so we don't cut our hands when we're shaping the neck. We'll come back afterwards and do the actual fret work once the neck has been shaped. So we're going to move on to actually shaping the neck now. And we've got all our marks here on the neck of what material we're going to remove. I won't bore you with all the maths and all the measurements and stuff we've done. I'll link to a video from Fletcher's Handcrafted Guitars. He does an absolutely excellent video about how to mark out a neck, especially a Strat Tele style neck like this. But basically we've got our lines along the side, and we've got lines on top, and basically they tell us where we can just start hogging out material, and they create facets then, and then we just keep doing that until we get things smoother and smoother. Marks like here, the transitions and stuff, as I said, Fletcher explains that great, and down at the end as well. We leave most of that until we're getting closer, and we just smooth that out towards the end. So basically what we're going to do next is, we've got two big chunks along the side here, and we're just going to hog out that material. So as we said, we're literally just hogging off a lot of material here, so just using a Shinto saw rasp, and we'll just really just hack at this and try and take off as much as possible. So just to bring it in a little bit close and show you what we've done so far. So we've got a line marked here, and we have a line marked up here, and we've just taken away all that material there. And we're going to do the same on the other side. And as you can see, we're slowly starting to get all our different edges here to create more and more of them, and slowly but surely rounding over the back of the neck. So we'll just keep going. As we said, we'll take off the other side, and then we'll start to remove more of these facets, create more angles, and start to smooth out the whole thing. So we still have a little bit more sanding to do on that just to get it completely smooth, but that's pretty much our neck done. It's been nicely rounded over. As we said, we're going to come back and do our fret job and that, little bits more sanding, smooth out some of these transitions a little bit more, but it's a nice smooth comfortable neck, not too chunky, not too thin, and it's very much like a D-shaped kind of profile. You know, you can carve it a different way if people favour a V or a C or any other kind of a profile, or a compound profile, whatever, but it's nice and comfortable, and that's pretty much our neck done now.